moving on to how much relaxation is too much relaxation, or how much should fun be the goal? So this is something I was sort of thinking about with, sometimes I have a hard time just letting go, and how much of this is appropriate versus how much of this is something that I need to work on, right? Like how much of this is
Hmm.
natural drive to get shit done and build stuff versus, how much of this just is just me being uptight. Um, because like, yeah, the idea of sailing around the world on a sailboat sounds pretty dope. But like, would I get bored?
Maybe.
I don't know. Like, there's also is am I like abandoning society? Do I have a duty to my community to stay and fight and build?
I mean, there's an argument to be made that the reason that you think that way, or the reason that you think that you have to be working all the time, is because that was what is ingrained in you as social. Like the only way, the only way you're useful is to be doing or making something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how much I've.
I think some of the stuff that you're talking about, the stuff that we're like you doing can be fun, right?
Well,
Like you can be grinding and it can be fun,
sure. And that's the thing is I like building things.
right?
I like that. And and so that's part of it is like, and that's part of what I mean by like, would I be bored on a sailboat? Just sailing?
Yeah. You have to get used to just relaxing, right?
So what do I do?
Think about all the things that you could learn, the books that you could read, the stuff that you could do.
The buildings I couldn't build, the machines I couldn't machine,
Yeah.
I don't know. But no, I think there's plenty of, it would be a shift in lifestyle for sure. Um, but I mean, it's also one that like, this is a very new option for people in civilization. The idea of just being able to
For
like,
normal people.
yes, well, for somebody of our status, let's say, like I have enough assets that I could sell everything and go buy a boat.
Right.
Um, that wouldn't be that hard. Um,
It's not. You can buy actually, well, I haven't looked recently, but at one time whenever I was boat shopping, you could find a decent quality ocean cruiser for 50, somewhere between 50 and 150,000.
oh, that's not bad at all.
Right.
Um, so there's, it's like, is this, it's not just sailing, obviously. There's all sorts of other things where, like, I think van life could be considered a cheaper version of this.
I mean, off-grid living.
Yeah, I mean, off-grid living in general was always, I mean, that was the norm for centuries
Sure.
before the grid. Um,
So was van life.
yeah, but the modern iteration of
Ask
van
the
life.
ask the Native Americans, the original van lifers. Well, not
Yeah,
even the original van lifers. I mean, you could go all the way back to the Mongols, right? Like they were nomadic peoples. The
sure.
same thing.
Well, but the modern iteration of van life is a lot less productive.
Yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, that would depend on your definition of productive, right? Because you could say that like nomadic lifestyles never really productive. They were sustaining. That was it.
Sure. But I mean, I don't know that the current iteration of van life is self-sustaining.
I would argue that most people who do van life currently are not self-sustaining, but I think that you very easily could be,
Sure.
right? Like you could pick up, it's very easy to sustain because you can pick up odd jobs here, there, and yonder, which is how some of them do it. It's how some of those people actually do their van life is they go around and they find odd jobs and they just do stuff for cash and they
Right.
survive that way.
Right.
Now, a lot of them in today's world are, they make videos for YouTube and that's
They're
how they make,
influencers and they have no skills and
stop using that word.
I
Nasty.
that's what I was going for. Vulgarity of it.
I'll stop myself. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, like, yeah, you're right. But the same thing could be said for people who are sailing, right?
Well, and
It's the
that's
same
kind of
same type deal.
and it it,
And
it
I don't know that there's a right answer. I think it's
hence why this is a discussion.
personally, yeah. I think it's gonna be very personally dependent. Um, and yeah, I think I think too many people are on too far of ends of the spectrum where people are either like drivers and want to work all the time or they don't want to work at all and do nothing.
Yeah, and it's and some of this is I think this is in the context of this. It's called the cultural civil war, right? Where we're things in this country are at an all-time tension high,
Hmm.
and like there's an aspect of like abandoning it feels like cowardice and not doing something to at least fortify myself and for lack of a better word my family is uh lazy and neglectful.
Okay,
Like there's just feels like there should be a sense of urgency.
maybe.
I mean, I'm posing this kind of as a question a little bit because
Yeah,
I don't know
like
what.
so I as you know, I disagree because I also kind of believe in the go where you're treated best type scenario. Um, Now, don't get me wrong, like there's a time to fight. I think there's a time to fight and a time to run, and there are certain things, but uh, you know, like personally, I'm okay fighting if if there is if we're playing by the same rules, or at least similar, or at least close. And currently in the United States, we ain't playing by the same rules.
Sure, and I think I understand what you mean. I mean, for me, I don't think that that's quite. I was looking at it as sort of a the what's your best strategy for this? Like if you're can you like if and that's kind of the reason why I say cowardice because I don't think cowardice is I look at cowardice as running away from a fight that you should fight, right? Or it's running away from something that you should endure or deal with that sucks, but you should. Um,
Sure.
because
And I would
there's
question why you think that this is something that you should fight or endure.
um because I don't necessarily fundamentally I don't think there's a better option.
Okay,
Like
that's fair.
I think that I think anywhere I go, I'm gonna have to deal with bad fallout from what happens here.
I mean, yeah, but that's part of that is just because of the world economy. Like you're going to
Okay,
have economic issues, right? Like
sure.
that's a reality. But I mean, like you could easily go to Eastern Europe, which are countries that are highly Christian, mostly Catholic.
Hmm.
I mean, like Romania, Hungary are both, I think, like 98.5% Christian
Hmm.
countries.
Right.
Very, very much of like a conservative or traditionalist type style. And so, like, the difference would be economics, potentially.
Well, maybe. I
And
mean, and
maybe
so
and maybe
the
not, right?
well, some of the degree to which it gets bad in other countries is going to be proportionate to the degree in which it gets bad here. But if it doesn't get that bad here, and if it doesn't get that bad there, it doesn't get that bad here. And so it's sort of less bad it gets here, there's sort of the more reason to try and stay and fight.
So,
Um,
bad in what regards?
um,
Because at first we were talking about culture war stuff. So if you're talking about culture war, like the US could implode based culturally, and it would have some impact on, say, let's use Hungary and Romania, for example, but overall, I would think that it would have very little actual impact in them because they're very devout in what their beliefs are. They know where they stand. And so I don't think you'd see a lot of issues there.
well, but a cultural implosion will result in a implosion of other institutions as well, governmental
Sure.
power, etc.
Mhm.
And that would get shunted off to the rest of the world in many ways. Like that, I mean, I don't know. Like it's one of those things. Like yes, if and ask me again in
Hmm.
year and a half, right?
Right.
Um, a year and a half, I might say no, absolutely, we need to stay and fight. U.S. is the last bastion of this of freedom, let's say, for lack of a better term. I think it's a little more complicated than that, but um,
I mean, I think we fight while we're here, but I think that you don't have a backup, like don't not have a backup plan,
oh yes,
right? Like have a secondary, like you need to be able to fall back. It's either that or die,
well,
right?
and then
And so, like
and
honestly, I would actually right now I would probably prefer Russia to the US right this moment.
yes, but I think Zoom is about to cut out then.
Yeah. I mean, we may get shut down and that may happen, but I mean like
no, I
but let's be
agree.
real, if you look at it, like they align better with my morals and values
And they
and
seem like they're up and coming.
they are up and coming. They have lots like are one of the reasons, my theory on one of the reasons we tried to hold Russia down and battle it out between the US and Russia for so long is because we're so alike, right? They
Like
have
it's
the abundance of natural resources. They have an abundance of arable land. Like they can be basically self-sufficient and not
well,
have to not rely on trade with anybody else in the world, and so can the US.
so and culturally, everything points to the fact that the US and Russia should be good allies. The fact that we're allied with Europe instead is really just a historical hangover.
Right.
Like that's it. Because culturally, US and Russia are probably a lot more similar.
Mhm.
We have that there's a lot more of the pioneer, rugged individualism. Apparently there's a lot of communities, especially in kind of the rural areas of Russia, that kind of idolize cowboy culture.
From what I hear, it's actually kind of all over Russia.
Oh, is it?
Like
Yeah. I
they're
mean, it sounds
huge fans of like they love like the Western movies, big fans of John
yep,
Wayne, that kind of
yep,
stuff. But it's that
yep.
rugged individualism, I think that appeals to them. But I mean, you figure in Russia right now, in more rural areas, there are plenty of people still living off-grid lives. They don't
Probably, yeah.
have, I mean, I've watched documentaries on it. Like they literally like there's one dude who has that has put together a raft out of logs from his property, and he rafts down the river and picks up a load of hay from Farmer John, and then yeah, I mean like they just mound it up on this deal, and then they
How
float it
to
down the river to
learn
the next one,
Russian.
and then they just pull off and kick it off to Farmer Jim, and Jim feeds his cattle with it, and then they I think they pull back upstream, but it's a slow moving stream. It doesn't move real fast, so you can go up and down it very easily, real navigable. Yeah,
Right, right. And if we run away when Russia starts arming us, you won't get more AK-47s for free. Just saying. The the the
you
fast
think that
shooting
I
ones.
would have less AK-47 access in Russia than I would in the States
Probably.
from the country that designed them?
Yes, because they're probably not going to be just handing you the spicy pew pew versions of them,
They might.
but maybe fly you back first class. Maybe you're the one that walks off that first ramp with the crates.
Hey guys,
Translator.
I'm back. What? What do you got there? Nothing. Don't worry about that. What's in the box?
I come bearing gifts,
Nothing.
but I
No, I
mean,
mean, yeah, for real. Like we really do. I mean, it's sad that people have created this huge animosity between the U.S. and Russia, the Ukraine and Russia. And those people are family. Doesn't make any sense for those two to be fighting. None whatsoever.
it's
If you
what
sit
NATO
down and
does.
think about it, oh yeah, NATO's been a useless organization for 40 years.
Well, I mean, like I say NATO, it's the fucking gay,
WEF,
yeah,
Global
well, it's the
Cabal, whatever you
global
want to go with.
American empire. Because it's like the
The
reality is
the lizard
the
people.
yes, basically. Anyway, the it's like
Sorry, I was just going to see how long I could sit there frozen to see if.
there's enough movement that I can tell, but um because it's the same effect you see stateside, where you have the populist on the left and the populist on the right basically saying the same shit, and they're supposed to hate each other.
Trump Kennedy 2024.
That would be scary.
Scary good.
Yes, yes. Well, I would be scared if I were either of them. Do not travel in the same car together.
Stay out of Dallas.
Dallas might be okay, actually.
Fort
Now,
Worth would
like,
no, Fort Worth would be much better. Dallas,
okay, but just don't give them a clustered target.
yes,
Do not be in the same car together. Don't do it.
right.
It just. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's like if you're looking at like if things go to hell here, and it'd be probably easier for me to enjoy being on a boat. But I'm just
Sure.
thinking more of like the not boat as an escape plan, but like and some of this is the small things of like, oh, how much should I focus on building things like a pool, which would be fun and nice to have, a lot of work, but
Are you talking about like an in-ground pool? Is that what I'm presuming you're thinking?
I mean, I might do above ground to start, but
I mean, like, let's be real. Costco had a decent quality above ground pool that was on sale over the, was it Memorial Day holiday? That was 650 bucks.
oh,
They're
okay.
cheap. Like above ground pools in the grand scheme of things are dirt cheap. That's why I'm saying like I get it. Like, but I mean, you figure I don't even know what I spent building that shed out at the cabin, right?
Yeah,
But it was several grand.
okay.
Like I'm not like I'm not stopping what I'm doing. Like I'm going to continue to build and do things, and because one, I'll get the benefit of them while I'm doing them, and two, they will add value in the long run. Now, will I get like if I spent $4,000 on that shed, am I going to get $4,000 worth of value added to my property? No, but maybe two.
But how much was the usage value of it?
Right.
No, and because that's what I'm thinking is like there's all of the things. There's plenty. Like I like improving my property. I like working on it. I like enjoying the fruits of working on it. But it's how much can and should I be devoting it for things that are purely entertainment value, like a pool.
I, so, I mean,
That was kind of what I'm
I
saying.
think there needs to be a balance there, right?
Hmm.
But at the same time, like there does need to be balance,
How do you
right?
know when you found that
What is
balance?
it that they say? All work and no play makes Johnny a dull boy. Maybe that was Fight Club. Anyways, um, I don't know. I think that point's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah,
Um, I have learned to recognize in myself when I need to just like chill out, take a day off, um, which is difficult for me even sometimes whenever I do realize that. And more of it as I get older is just like, hey, like dude, you can't keep going like you're 20 years old and, you know, cutting through the brush like I've been doing out there, right? Like
sure, sure.
fighting the land and all that. Like it's hard. Um, but like, yeah, I mean, I do it and I enjoy doing it. Now I've been thinking about for a couple of years now, putting a pool in the backyard just to have a place to cool off, get in the water that I know is safe and clean, let's say, because there's just not a lot of options around here.
Sure.
Um, and part of it's for me because I enjoy the water. Part of it's for the dog so that he can, you know, get
And
in there
and
and
it's
swim around.
right. And it's easier for me to take a day off and go and do the things I enjoy. Right.
Hmm.
Like but it's hard for me to prioritize the fun sections of the property when I'm still working on the functional ones.
Hmm.
And like in my mind, it's like, oh, I need to get through these things, these projects first before I get to that. And then those projects just, well, that was a small project. It's not a small project anymore. That was a small project. That's not a small project anymore. And that one you thought was going to be done in a week. It's been 6 months.
Did your parents make you eat all of your dinner before you could have dessert?
Sometimes when I
Did you
was
grow up?
younger, not so much as I got older.
Yeah. Did you get a, well, that's even, I mean, it still tracks. So did you have like a system that you had to earn rewards in your household? Like you had
I
to earn the
mean,
right to do whatever, like by getting good grades or
not so much.
doing your
Like there,
chores or things like that?
there might have been other perks additionally that I could gain by doing that stuff, but most it was more of and that wasn't a very successful attempt to motivate me.
There.
But for the most part, no, it was I
Okay.
had
I'm
access, I
just
could get
asking,
access to
like,
things. Yeah.
it's interesting because there's a lot of people who theorize that a lot of the reason that people don't do the fun things or allow themselves to go have fun and enjoy is because they feel like since they've from the time they've grown up, like they always had to earn that. And so they have a hard time feeling like internally feeling like that they've earned it. And if they haven't earned it, then they can't go do it. And
Well,
I like when I heard that, I felt that one because I'm like, I do that. Like,
I think that is natural and appropriate because the fun is excess, right? So
hmm,
you can't
oh, I
have
don't,
fun unless you have the excess.
yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think it's a healthy habit to have to a certain extent. You just have to, I think, make sure that it doesn't get out of hand, let's say.
Right. And that was the thing. It was like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do the things I need to first, then I can do the thing I enjoy, because that's just how that works everywhere in all aspects of life.
Right.
It just so happened the things that I picked to get done first
Can you tell the
were
millennials and the Gen Zers that whenever they want to buy a $350,000 house that's identical to what their parents have,
as someone whose first house was significantly more than that. Um,
and then complain that they can't afford it? Nobody can afford a house these days. Yeah, you can. You just don't, you can't afford the house you want. That's the problem.
I, I'll never be able to afford the house I want. The house I want is like 8 stories, 4 of which are underground.
Just weird, man.
I didn't say
I,
I wasn't.
I don't want to have to clean that much.
No, I didn't say I was gonna clean it,
Okay.
which means you now have to afford a cleaning crew. Yeah, I'm never gonna be able to afford it. I know,
I don't want to have to afford a cleaning crew. Let's go with that.
but okay. Some of it is I'm tolerant of
Like
mess, but
I could I could get I could win the lottery and I'm still not gonna buy like a 8,000 square foot house. Like that's never gonna happen. Like
well, I mean, a lot
how
of
big's
it's
your
like,
house, Sean? Like I don't know, make like 1,000, 1,100 square foot maybe. Like it's got a couple of bedrooms, a couple of bathrooms. That's it. Like I don't need much.
yeah.
Now, if I get married and have kids, that might change slightly, but it ain't gonna be.
So a lot of it for me is now we're getting to housing discussion, but a lot of it's not like actual normal housing rooms. It's all of the things I'd like to have for personal use and don't want to share.
Gotcha. So you
But
want to have an underground garage that you can park your tank in.
yeah, let's pretend it's underground in the garage and not somewhere else in the property.
M1 Abrams.
I mean, by that point, it'll probably be easy to get one.
Going by Ukraine.
Need some work.
Oh,
Those might need some work.
oh, really?
Well, you could talk to
Ask the
Russia about getting the leopards instead.
well, you could buy a completely functional Leopard from Russia right now if they'd be willing to sell it to you. But ask the cartels where they got all of their AT4s and javelins from.
I think it was the CIA.
Uh-huh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely wasn't Ukrainians selling stuff on the black market.
Oh, recently, yes. I thought you were talking before how they got them, and that
No,
was
no, that was the ATF.
oh, it was the ATF.
That was the
I thought the
ATF.
ATF. I thought it
Yeah.
was CIA backing the ATF
Tomato, tomato. Like
because the
it's
CIA has jurisdiction to operate outside the borders, and that's why they needed to anyway. The
you
point is,
telling
kids
me you
don't
don't
trust the
think that
government.
the CIA is you don't think the CIA is operating inside the borders?
No, no, I don't think the ATF is operating outside of our borders.
Mm.
Well, much.
Yeah, huh? Yeah, yeah. I
I don't
don't
think
think
they're
I
allowed
don't
to.
think anybody, well, by law they're not allowed to,
Right. So
and by
when they
law
were
the
outside the
FBI is not
country,
allowed to, and they still do. And
right,
by law the CIA is not allowed to operate inside the country, but they still do. Like nobody's following
right,
the
right.
effing laws
So,
anymore.
well, what they did was when they crossed the border, they took off the ATF patch and put on the CIA patch.
right?
and then they were good.
They were employed by the FBI but lent out to the CIA. That's
Yes.
yeah, attached to a CIA detachment in whatever country. Yeah, I know.
Yep.
No, bullshit.
It's yeah. It's a lot of
Sorry.
plenty of bullshit to go around.
Yeah,
But no, I mean, I think that going back to kind of topic at hand, it is an interesting. You kind of put up the point is like, when my projects explode in complexity, should I jump the line with the things that I set that I want to have for fun as a result of that explosion in complexity?
I mean, like that's a call you've got to make. I would
I didn't say
say
this.
it kind of
It's a rhetorical question.
depends
Yeah.
on, like, to me, it would depend on how much that exploded in complexity, right? Like if I had three things that I said I had to get done before I could put a pool in, and thing number one blew up to where it's bigger than the original three items were combined, I might go, okay, well, I finally got this one done because it blew up in my face, but I've done the equivalent amount of work that I was telling myself I needed to do to earn the pool, and say, okay, I can go build the pool and there are benefits to the pool, right? Health, like legitimate health benefits to having the pool, right?
Right.
So my argument is that, like, I can still go work in the yard. Like if I get off work at 3, I can go
Mhm.
work in the yard till 7, 8 o'clock, go swim in the pool, or just even lay and relax in the pool for a little bit, and it will improve recovery for tomorrow. You'll actually be able to get more done.
Yeah.
It's really good for like low impact stuff. It's really good for joint health. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, no, I did notice that.
there's a lot of actual health benefits that could actually help you potentially get more done in a larger period, in a shorter period of
I
time.
mean, yeah, right now my getting more done is more like
And the
it's I'm even sure like it's not even wear and tear on my body so much as it's just I've never done this before, and so I plan and my plans break down, and so I have to readjust,
Mhm.
which
That's okay.
yeah,
It
no, I mean it's
happens.
just I'm not surprised by it.
Let me tell
And
you
I
how many
mean,
times everything went exactly to plan when building the cabin.
once. Like imagine putting a light switch in one time worked perfectly.
Maybe.
See, once.
I think the only thing that actually went according to plan was setting the um, foundation piers.
Okay,
When I
that's
set
a
all
good thing
those
to go
out,
according to plan.
and yeah, and had them all nice and leveled out and everything else, and it went downhill from there.
Yeah, no, for me it's more of a I have a plan. I start executing the plan. My plan gets completely invalidated, and I have
Mhm.
to go back to the drawing board and reassess, which means more research online, more like, okay, is there a part like this that exists? Okay, yeah, there's a tool that for it. Okay, cool. Whole thing I didn't realize. And then
I have tools specifically to fix something that I effed up on the way.
isn't that where people buy tools to fix shit
Well,
they've effed up?
I mean, I wouldn't need the tool if I hadn't effed it up along the way, if I had done it right the
Oh,
first time. But it was more of like, oh, you did this, like like a router and a router bit to cut out the windows on the cabin.
mm,
Like, had I planned out the windows whenever I built the walls, then I wouldn't need the router and the router bit to cut out the plywood that's covering where the windows are framed out at now,
Yep.
right? Like that's just an example. But I mean, like it happens. It's okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
I don't stress about screwing up. It's more just
no, it's more of it gets you it puts you behind on being able to enjoy some of the stuff that you'd like to have some enjoyment of.
right. It results in a lot of spinning where I'm like, okay, I can't do the shit I planned for today. What can I do today? And well, let me figure out how I'm gonna let me plan the new let me get to come up with a new plan. Now what can I do? Okay, not much. What can I do work on other things? And the result of iterating through that throughout the day is a lot of me walking around the property, but not actually getting stuff done.
Yeah, done that a lot.
But I'm not surprised by it. I'm not worried about it in the sense I'm just not happy about it.
No, it just puts you behind schedule.
Right. Right.
But that's what it looks like. And that's
Right.
how about this? When I started the cabin, I was like, I'm gonna get this thing built in like 6 months. I'm gonna be able to move out here. The whole point of it was I was gonna cut my commute from an hour a day each way to 30 minutes. And I'm still working on the cabin, and it's been 7 or 8 years.
Okay. I haven't it's been that long. Yeah, I mean things always take longer than you think, and then you had a bunch of time. Now you don't have the time, and now you got to find instead of like there's been a few projects where I'm like, oh, I have 3 weeks. I will bang it out in 3 weeks. 2 weeks in, I'm like, I have made 10% progress. And
And part of it's my fault. Like when I had the time, I didn't take the time to go do it. That's
oh
just the
yeah,
reality. I just didn't do it. But a lot of
I
it comes down to
I've
the fact that
never
like,
done that. I don't know what you're
yeah, I
talking
know.
about.
But I mean, like part of it comes down to right now, like it's an hour out there and an hour back,
Mhm.
right? Now I'm finally getting close to the point where it's habitable,
Right.
right? I mean, it's been dried in for a long time, but like to have electricity and have, a
And,
bathroom and a
and air
shower
conditioning and
and
just
air conditioning, um, those kind of things, like I'm getting to that point where that means on Friday, whenever I get done with work, I can load the dog up. We can drive out there and I can get up Saturday morning and just go to work and work all day long working on stuff.
and eventually you get to a point where we're doing this from your cabin.
And you get yeah, I mean, I get a lot more, I'd be able to get a lot more done because I'm up and I'm there. And then I don't have to worry about trying to get back before a certain time and that kind of stuff.
Right. Right.
Just it makes it be to where you have a lot more time available, and because you have a lot more time available, you get a lot more done. Um, and so yeah, I mean, like that's the idea.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
see, hopefully, you know, now that it's insulated and I've got power, you know, it'll make it to where it's bearable.
Yeah.
And
No,
so
I mean
yeah,
I think that's I don't so there's I don't think there is a clear answer on how to figure out when you what you should deviate to entertainment versus productivity. But it is definitely one of those that seems like one of those the more you put in towards productivity, the easier it's going to be to put it in towards entertainment
yep. And I think a lot of that depends on your age.
in terms of what you'll be able to do.
No, in terms of what you should do.
Oh, like while you're young, beat yourself silly working and developing skills.
Hmm.
100%. Like the amount of time I've had to take a break from doing the projects because something's tweaking in my back, and I know if I try to keep digging, it's gonna put me in bed for a week.
Yeah. Sucks getting old, right?
I don't recommend. Well, I mean, if there are other options, I wouldn't recommend it. But
Yes, well, there are other options. Most people just don't like that other option.
yeah, that other option's worse.
I mean, depends on how you look at it, I guess.
The way I look at it, it's much worse. It's
Yeah. No, I mean,
pain.
there's just like what is it that Thomas Sowell says? There's not options, just alternatives, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, tell me about it. Like I can't do the stuff that I could do when I was 20. Like,
Oh yeah.
like that's not a thing anymore, you
Like
know?
coming up, if the
I had a
economy the
friend
way
of
it is, if
mine.
I was 20, I would try to be getting some kind of mobile van set up as minimal as possible, and I'd be trying to move to where the work is.
Yeah. I mean, I like uh, I was talking to a friend of mine today, and I was texting with her at like lunchtime, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I got like 4 hours of sleep last night, and I'm just dying on the inside." And I was like, "Yeah, can't party all night like you used to, huh?"
How old?
Early 30s,
Yeah.
like
That's when you
30,
start to,
like 30 to 35 time.
yeah, I mean
Mm.
I noticed it started when I was 25. By the time I was 27, I'm like, this just isn't as much fun anymore. Like I can do it, but it's just not as much fun. So I'm gonna stop.
Yeah.
And then I try to keep up a little bit in my early 30s, and I'm like, everything hurts all the time. Can you please just hit me with a bat and knock me unconscious? And it's funny because it's happened recently with one of my cousins, and she's 29, 30 or something. And one of her friends goes out, and they're like, they haven't done this in a while because they got a job, and they go ham. And I'm like, you shouldn't do that. I'm like sipping on like I think I got like cranberry juice, so it looks like I had a drink. I'm just
What are you
sipping
on
on
your
it for
period?
something like that. Uh,
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
we were both thinking the same seed.
Such a good movie.
Yeah. I mean, if you were here, I guess that means I'm just supposed to punch you in the face, right?
Right,
That is the appropriate response to that.
right. And then get your hand broken. So
Worth it.
wow. Guess I've just got one of those punchable faces.
You really do.
Hmm, rude.
But
But yeah, I mean, like
yeah,
that's
then
the advice that I give my nephews, right? Like go work. Like you're 20, 21, 25, like go work. Go make
work and
money.
work out and fuck
Learn
everything.
something, figure it out, go do shit.
Like
Because when you hit 30 or you hit 40 and you figure out, oh, I really wasted my 20s and 30s,
if you're
like
dude,
there's no getting it back.
if you're a guy, your 30s are the peak of your life. So when you're 20,
Mm,
like that is
disavow.
I okay. I think you're in your prime in your 30s because I think your 20s are for building. Build yourself, build your skills, build your wealth.
I would agree with you in general. In general, that is absolutely true.
Like,
That was not the case for me.
oh, no, no, no. I don't there should be this way. It's more what I'm saying. They weren't for me either. Like I'm like, oh fuck, I I squandered my 20s.
Oh, me too.
Like
I
I
mean,
should have been
I actually did a lot of work during my 20s. Like I did a lot, but it wasn't towards anything. It
no, yeah,
wasn't
you
towards
need
a
to
goal or anything like that. It was just like I just worked and I did a bunch of it. Now, that's one of the things that helped, you know, it's one of the reasons that I am the way I am today. And that's the reason that like my boss has to be like, you have to schedule time off. you have too much PTO. You need to take it. And I'm like, what? I have 6 freaking weeks. What am I supposed to do with it? Like, that's more than my entire childhood that we took time off and vacation. Like, it just didn't have it.
Just take 6 weeks off and go get another job. I don't
Yeah,
know.
right? Like,
Go weld, huh?
whatever. But yeah, I
No,
mean,
but
like that's a thing. And so I, but I didn't build towards anything then, and wasn't taking care of myself. And so I am actually in better shape now than I was 5, 6 years ago.
sure. And yeah, right. Like but you're as a if you're 18, you should try to kind of pick a goal that's where you want to be when you're 30. If this is a career, family, a wealth goal, some kind of goal. It doesn't really matter what the goal is. You just need something to focus on, something that you want, and it's a ways out. And that is your reason to get up. And then that is your reason to bust your ass, work out, cook for yourself. Like make sure you know how to cook
Work
yourself.
out, cook,
Take
eat well,
yes. Like
and
that is
and yeah, and like I actually tell like one of the things that I talk to my nieces and nephews about is what do you like what do you want envision your life to look like when you're 50, 55, 60, 65, like something in that time range. And I'm not talking about specifics, right? Like, oh,
right.
I don't need you to tell me like you think you're going to be a lawyer and do it. No, like what do you want your general life to look like? You want to have family, kids, grandkids? Like what does that look like to you? Okay. Like we can talk through it from there and I can try to help guide you on like, okay, what you need to
And,
do. But there's plenty of different paths to get there. You just need to realize that you have to do something and start in order to get there.
and I'd say don't even worry about picking the thing that's actually truly what you want. Just pick something. Because the reality is trying to switch to another one along the way is so much easier if you're further along the path of a different one.
And it's so much easier than everybody makes it out to be whenever you're younger.
Like career switching or
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Like if
like
you're a
switching your
plumber and you want to become an electrician, people are like, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't just like switch careers and do something different." Bull.
no,
Bull.
it's
If
easier.
you've it's actually easier. Right.
Like it's easier to go from I'm a plumber to electrician than it goes from nothing to an electrician. The problem is that it's you're here and you got to go here, but you will catch up faster and you
Mhm.
will be better when you did plumbing and now you're an electrician. The reality is having both those skills will suit you for a while. They will better you for your entire life.
Mhm. One thing is plumbing and electricity ain't going away anytime soon that I'm aware of. So
Fingers crossed.
yeah, I don't know. I kind of like to poop outside, so that's just me though.
Yes, but I would like plumbing to take my poop away so it's not just there
Oh
forever.
no, I just dig a hole. It's fine. Or you can hire the neighborhood kid to pick up the to poop out of the yard for like $20 a week.
Just don't tell them
And
it's your
that'll
shit.
work. That'll work fine until he figures out that you don't have a dog, and then you'll be problematic.
Uh, oddly enough, no, I one of my long-term goals is to see if I can switch the septic system over to a bioreactor.
Oh, I know. Yeah, yeah.
But so carry it off and turn it into fuel. But yeah,
But yeah, there's lots of stuff. I mean, like I'm just glad that honestly for me, like I'm glad that I learned what I did when I did, because otherwise I would have spent basically the rest of my life just floating through, not figuring stuff out.
oh
And
yeah. I mean,
like
there's
it is what it is, but like I've come to grasp it like that's gone. I've done it. It is what it is, and I'm gonna go forward. And
yes, it's
from
the
there we do
whole
what we do.
when the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, second best time is now.
Hmm.